It is the Pro Wrestling Power Half Hour with JV and Bobby Doe. Obviously, that is not Bobby Doe. I am JV.
I'm Caleb Jones, and better than Bobby Doe. That's the truth.
You know what? I'll agree for this moment in time. This is a blast from the Pro Wrestling Power Half Hour past. If you've watched the first couple episodes,
I think it was like first three-ish,
but
maybe 5. Short stint.
But he's back. He's in this week because Bobby is still saving babies from burning buildings like Jose Canseco. Cue the Jose Canseco.
Now, if Bobby comes back bald, we can't judge.
No. Bald is beautiful, except when it's on me.
But
as I'm reflecting,
we wish Bobby Doe the best of luck in saving those babies.
We do, as I'm reflecting all this light. Maybe I should kill some of the backlighting. No, that didn't really... Oh, well, it didn't turn off either. Okay, that helped a little bit. We'll
work with what we got.
Yeah, we got the sexy mood lighting. First of all, shout out to Misty Moody and Mystic Pearl. They had a huge fundraiser at the end of April. I believe she wound up raising something like $400. So shout out to Misty. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone that contributed funds and bought
if you haven't seen Mystic Pearl Girls lives, check them out.
Yeah, those live videos are great.
Great stuff going on.
Definitely.
I'm in there as frequently as I can be. Always looking at the jewelry and stuff they got because I've got a lovely wife at home that I'm looking to surprise all the time.
See, yeah, I have nothing. I was going to start singing songs from Team America World Police, but we are trying to rein things in this week. Shout out, as always, to Once Bitten, Twice Baked. You can find them in the Motor City area. And as always, if you have questions, gripes, want to hit on me, want to hit on Caleb even though he's married, just need someone to talk to, well, I mean, you're going to talk to a voicemail box, but
we will hear you.
We will hear you.
You just won't hear us.
Hit it up.
Later.
303-351-2152. I'll be checking that voicemail box probably every Wednesday afternoon or so, and the calls we're going to start airing and responding to, kind of like a drive-through from a certain individual who I am not going to mention by name.
It'll be a bit of an experience.
Indeed. So we got a whole lot of stuff to tackle this week. Of course, the biggest thing coming this weekend, of course, is one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year.
Taking place on one of my favorite holidays of the year.
Shout out, Happy Mother's Day out there to all the mamas. If there were a Big Five or a pay-per-view to replace the King of the Ring and the Big Five, I think it would be this one. It would be Money in the Bank. Obviously,
it has to be.
You have your Big Four. You have your Mania, your Rumble, your SummerSlam, and your Survivor Series. Those are always going to be your biggest 4 pay-per-views that always garner attention. But this, in my mind, is always one of those must-see pay-per-views. It's one of those times where I can just be a fan.
Exactly. And one of my favorite things about the Money in the Bank is, I grew up in wrestling when the ladder match was starting to take off. Edge, Christian, Dudley's, Hardy's. And the Money in the Bank made its first appearance at WrestleMania 2000?
It was WrestleMania 21, I think.
Yeah, so...
TLC was WrestleMania 2000.
There we go.
TLC 2 was WrestleMania X7. It was a ladders match at WrestleMania 2000, but they started using tables. So they went out of their way to not use chairs because SummerSlam that year was the first TLC.
Yeah. So
it was like they knew what they were going to do further down the road, so they didn't use
So I can think of 4 matches off the top of my head that get their own pay-per-view, not counting the Rumble.
Right.
Because the Rumble was more a match made for the pay-per-view instead of the pay-per-view made for the match. Whereas Money in the Bank is definitely a pay-per-view made for the match, just like Extreme Rules was a pay-per-view made for the match. Mm-hmm. And same with Hell in a Cell. Other than... I guess you could throw Elimination Chamber on that. Right, initially it did air on No Way Out.
Right, and they just kind of changed the name of it too. Yeah. But see, you're saying that, and I think with TLC and Hell in a Cell, they were trying to copy the formula that they were doing with Money in the Bank.
Exactly, and like Money in the Bank, it's such a unique idea that you can't just do that.
And it's such a turning point for your entire season. Yeah. Like, some of your favorite cash-ins.
Oh, definitely. Some of my favorite cash-ins are both Edge cash-ins.
Okay.
Definitely, just because I'm a huge Edge head.
I know what mine is.
CM Punk's as well.
CM Punk's was pretty good.
And the reason being, you can't knock that guy for his back-to-backs. You can't.
No.
Only person to ever actually go back-to-back. Edge held it twice, but his second one has an asterisk next to it, taking it off. Mr. Anderson.
Hey,
formerly known as Mr. Kennedy.
You can't see it, but I was like palming the mic.
But CM Punk, the only true back-to-back double whammy of the Money in the Bank. Definitely king of the Money in the Bank, in my opinion.
My favorite Money in the Bank run by far, Dolph Ziggler.
Ooh, with Vicky?
First of all, we knew he was like, we went to that show in Phoenix knowing he was going to win. Like it was just like, and we still blew up when he won, but like that was just, he teased it, cashing it in so many times where it was where it got old and then it got so old that it became great again.
There's
like
an art to it. Teasing a cash in. There is a real art to it. And Dolph Ziggler, The Miz, and Edge, I want to say, have the best.
Yeah, especially when he cashed it in on Cena.
Exactly.
But
worst cash in goes to John Cena. By the way, 1 week's notice and lost the match. Worst cash in goes to John Cena.
Almost as bad as Miz style.
But he at least still tried the surprise
and
angle.
That briefcase was amazing.
Wonderful. It was great. Probably the highlight of his run. The briefcase was the briefcase itself.
But and like Ziggler's briefcase, that thing was like beaten to a pulp by the time he cashed it in on Del Rio.
And same with Miz.
Yeah.
Because Miz had taken a knockout punch from the Big Show to the briefcase.
Right, it was so good.
Crushing finales on the briefcase, like that one.
Yeah. How many famousers did Ziggler do onto that?
Exactly.
Oh, man.
So I think we start talking about what this year has in store for us.
Yeah, definitely. The men's match has some big stars, a lot of vets, a couple first timers in there. Daniel Bryan,
is always exciting. Yeah, first timers in a Money in the Bank match is always exciting, especially even if they've done ladder matches before.
Right.
Even if they've done ladder matches before, it's still exciting seeing it because there's nothing like having this many bodies in the ring with this many ladders, with so much on the line.
We haven't even talked about the two elephants in the room. It's taking place at the global headquarters. You have to start from the bottom and work your way up the corporate ladder to the roof.
How many floors is that building? Do we know?
I can look it up right now, but I'm kind of lazy. I'll probably have it pop up. It's probably popping up right now.
Just so you guys know,
it's popping up right now with that chime, like right there. You see it? That's how many floors it is. So they're having to start from the ground floor and work their way up. Not only that, but the men's match and the women's match is happening at the same time.
Which is interesting to say the very least.
It's really intriguing because I'm starting to wonder, okay, are the girls going to interfere in the guys' matches somehow?
Are they going to, like, intermingle to where, like, they help each other take out someone?
Exactly,
Who knows, you know?
Are the girls going to tie up the elevator and the guys have to climb the stairs or vice versa?
So, what I'm really excited about in the men's match is there's two names. Aleister Black and Otis.
And let's run down the men's match again. I kind of got sidetracked there. We've got Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, Aleister Black, King Corbin, Otis, and the phenomenal AJ Styles. Local boy Otis
Local boy Otis is making me pick over my favorite wrestler in the world.
I'm popping really hard that Otis is getting the attention he's getting. He got the WrestleMania moment. He's
the caterpillar. You can't get over it.
It's something we all knew when we saw him working here in Salt Lake and everything.
We were waiting for this moment, and now we get to sit here and enjoy him on such an international level. Everyone gets it, and it's not just us. He's a national treasure to say. He
really is. And as much as I would love to see the Dozer do what he does and win this Money in the Bank ladder match, and it pains me to say it, but
I just don't see
pure logic talking. I don't see it happening for him.
He's got a huge angle going currently already that they're still kind of working with him and Manny.
If I had cheddar to put on this match on a book on the internet, offshore booking where you can bet on pro wrestling.
So if you did have to bet,
if I did have to bet, it would be King Corbin.
Like that.
Corbin? That's what logic is pointing to.
For me, I'd like to see Alistair. That's who I'd like to see. Money for me is on AJ or Daniel. Mysterio, I don't see him coming out with a Money in the Bank briefcase.
No, I don't.
Just because he had his big little man push against Big Show and Great Khali, and they don't have anything really for him like that.
No.
And that is when Rey Mysterio's great as a world champion. Is when he's that David versus Goliath, and currently they don't have a Goliath for him.
Because both Goliaths just got slayed last month.
Exactly. Like Braun Strowman, he's a big dude.
And they're... Yeah, you're right, and I don't mean to keep cutting you off.
No, you're fine. Braun Strowman's a big dude, but I just don't see it happening. It's not a match I'd like to see.
Braun's keeping the title warm for Roman.
You think so? They edited him out of the WrestleMania replay from Seth's cash-in. There was not a single lick of Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I hear they may be a little mad at him, but I still think they're keeping him
unjustified in my opinion. Someone with formerly with leukemia, not traveling under these circumstances. Justified.
And he's probably we don't know the situation.
So,
but,
and I don't see Daniel Bryan taking it because he's already cashed.
Yeah, and he's got the kid. He's got the kid coming, so he's probably going to want to take some time off.
They're not going to take away from the Edge and CM Punk being the only two people that have two briefcase moments.
But see, I think they might use that to elevate King Corbin yet again, and like he's the third two-time winner.
Did he cash in successfully?
No, he
didn't.
It was unsuccessful.
It was unsuccessful. So it still wouldn't count technically as a back-to-back because CM Punk's successful.
But he would be a two-time Money in the Bank case holder.
I was
Money
excited
in the Bank
for him
match
when he won
winner
the first time. I really was. I don't see AJ taking it just because his run with Taker just now. I don't see him ready for a world title right this second. He's got some stuff he needs to get together.
They're in a mode right now where they're trying to build up the two champions they have right now. And Corbin is probably the only one of those guys that can take a loss and just keep rolling from it. Or he's the only guy that could conceivably hold it for a long and
then pull some real
slimy, dirty stuff.
Yeah, I could see it, especially after the whole dog food angle they had with Roman Reigns and the Usos. I could see it. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see Corbin or Black come out of this one with the briefcase.
And Black is my dark horse. Like if I had to pick another one, like if I had a parlay card and I got to pick two guys, Black would be my second pick.
I think it's important to address since it's Mother's Day. Women's Money in the Bank.
Yes, I was getting ready to move on to that as well.
The third.
Well, technically fourth because they had Carmella the first one.
Too,
twice.
But
this is the third year. This is the third year in a row that there's a women's match.
Yeah, we heard that the first one didn't have a chin.
Yeah.
But under the rug.
So we've got Asuka, Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Dana Brooke, Carmella, and Lacey Evans.
I think I gotta lead this with my pick of the night. It's gotta be Lacey Evans.
It's
gotta be Lacey.
I think it's gonna be Shayna. The only other person I could see them giving it to would be Nia Jax, and if it goes to Nia Jax, then I guarantee guarantee
A new champ.
Ronda Rousey is coming back and winning the championship.
That'd be fun to
because
see.
Nia is going to
I'd
be
like
the
to
one to
see
cash in on Ronda.
Becky versus Nia after the fact that Becky is the man now and she solidified herself, and that all started with that episode with Nia.
Oh,
I'd like to see that come full circle.
That'd be going.
But the reason I'm with Lacey is that whole feud with Bayley and Sasha. What were they focused on? Lacey's kid.
Yes.
This is on Mother's Day. Lacey Evans, out of everyone in the crowd, out of everyone, Lacey Evans is my pick to win it. Because it's Mother's Day, and she is fighting for something that no one else in that match has, and that's her kid, who I guarantee is probably going to be front row.
And, I mean, they've done the nostalgia thing before, Axel winning on Father's Day.
She came so close at Mania.
Yeah.
So close at Mania.
Yeah, you know, that...
It's dude, I'm strong with this one. Like, it's almost a deja vu moment. Got goosebumps thinking about it. Like, Lacey Evans is my pick. No doubt about it on that one.
We will see. We've
Definitely not Mella.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be Carmella.
She is.
I love Carmella to death. It ain't going to happen.
Put her back with Truth.
Right? Oh my god, that was so good. 4 title matches, possibly 5 if someone wants to go after the 24/7 title. But 4 title matches booked for the show. We've got Seth Rollins challenging Drew McIntyre, Bayley and Tamina, Braun being challenged by Bray Wyatt. Honestly, I don't see any of the champs losing their matches. The Bray Wyatt Braun Strowman match interests me only because it was Bray Wyatt that brought Braun Strowman into the world.
The vignettes they've been doing, like the recent Firefly Funhouse, is the Black Sheep story.
Yes, yeah.
Like, it's brilliant. This is ever since they debuted the Fiend, it's been art.
Any build for a Bray Wyatt match, even going back to NXT, has been fantastic. He's one of the few guys that has been built well every time, even if they've destroyed him 3 times.
He arguably has the vignette capabilities of Scott Hall and Undertaker.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
For this this era of wrestling, he's arguably the equivalent of those individuals as far as his vignette capabilities.
20 years from now, he's looked at as we look at The Undertaker, I think.
I'd like to see that. I would really like to see that. I would like to have someone, because, like, yes, John Cena started in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestled the majority of my life. Like, he's definitely, like, the face of my childhood.
Right,
my generation's Hulk Hogan. But I would like to see my generation's Undertaker come out. And I had Undertaker.
Right.
But it wasn't my generation's. This was 21-0 Undertaker.
Right. And, like, I've been lucky enough that I've gotten to see some generational heels. I've gotten The Undertaker. I've gotten Randy Orton, who I think is one of the best wrestlers to ever walk the planet. But that's getting a little too sidetracked.
In my opinion, they should keep Bray and the Fiend away from championship gold for a little while.
Yeah.
Just because every time they've put him in that scenario, they've dropped the ball, not in the sense that he didn't deserve it or anything like that. It was more of Seth Rollins' Hell in a Cell incident or the Goldberg incident. Like,
they were able... Part of how The Undertaker was so built up and so mystified was because they kept him away from the Bret Harts and the champions most of the time until about 95, 96 when they really started pushing him back up.
One day a year where they're like, okay, we're going to feed you something.
Yeah, and it was usually the Royal Rumble. And it was usually Bret.
And guess what? You usually paid for it.
Yeah. Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. Honestly, I think this one is just going to be
prodigal son, dude.
It's going to be the beginning of a program too.
I'd like to see that, a program between Drew and Seth. I would really like to see that.
I really feel like they're going to use Seth to legitimize Drew McIntyre because
Seth is probably the most credible champion.
Exactly,
on the
he's
roster
the he's the only guy on the roster. Like, can you name someone that other than Seth Rollins on Raw that McIntyre beats him and you're like, yeah, that dude, okay. Drew is that dude. He just took out X. Who other than Seth Rollins?
Yeah, it's got to be Seth.
Kurt Angle's gone. It ain't going to be Kurt.
I would say Finn, because he's arguably
Finn wrestles
But he's
on
on
Wednesday
NXT
nights
now.
now.
Yeah, exactly. They dropped the ball with him
Yeah,
too.
and because
Seth is their guy. Yeah.
And because so
Kevin?
many people, maybe KO,
But he doesn't have that world championship credibility.
No, he everybody forgets his Universal Championship.
It's
ring.
because he hid. And
he was a great heel champion. Yeah, he was a great heel champion, and he was a transition champ for Goldberg.
Yeah, you forget his reign because of who took the belt off him was Goldberg. What are you gonna do in those circumstances?
And then we've got the tag team title match as well.
I love tag team wrestling. I'm gonna lead with that. I love tag team wrestling. Ladder match, straight match, 1 team, 3 teams. I don't care. I love tag team wrestling.
I really like tag team wrestling as well. They do the 4-team matches for the title
a bit much.
A little too much. I can think of
It's
several Money in the Banks that have had 4-team matches for the titles.
It's hard for me to get behind a tag team title picture right now, given the tag team titles last 2 defenses were under singles rules in a triple threat match.
Right, and I mean, you gotta kind of
understand the circumstances.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I would have just kept them off television, in my opinion.
Right. I don't think Lucha House Party is gonna win.
As fun of a dark horse as that would be, honestly, to see Lucha House Party bring the gold out of nowhere, it'd be like B Team winning the gold again. It'd be so much fun to see. I just don't see it happening.
Forgotten Sons are gonna steal the show.
This is their chance to come out credible, make a solid impact on the main roster, kind of like Karrion Kross just did on NXT.
Yeah.
He took his opportunity. He came out. Oh, I hate it too. But I love the wrestler.
But yeah, and Kevin gave it to himself, so I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna.
Can't hate too much.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I love Kevin to death. He may hate me.
There's probably more to it than we understand.
Yeah. And I mean, it means decaying flesh and stuff, and it's very. Trust me, I've started reading the articles. Forgotten Sons are gonna steal the show. I don't think Joe Miz. I still think Miz is in the doghouse, so I don't see Joe Miz winning this.
You don't?
I think New Day wins.
New Day are the champs, right?
New Day are the champs. I think
New Day are the champs.
I think they're
retained. I want to
retained.
say that they're going to probably hold the gold till Woods is back. And the only reason I'm saying...
That's another 6 months.
Longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champions in the history of the company is the New Day.
Right. They've got the longest single reign and the longest combined reign.
And you're gonna question the ability to go 6 months?
Kofi,
it's Kofi and Big E.
Yeah.
It's the 2 strongest members
and
of the team.
And I mean, Kofi basically lives with the tag team title. If this were back in the 80s, he would probably just tell Jim Crockett to keep the deposit on the tag team title because he knows he's going to win it again. Just like Rick told Crockett to hold on to the $25K with the big gold.
I want to say either New Day or Forgotten Sons comes out on top of this just because New Day, successful retention makes sense to me. Forgotten Sons coming out as a powerhouse makes sense to me.
I don't
see it as very likely, but those are the 2 outcomes that I would like to see.
I was just going to say, I don't think I see them giving them the ball yet with the Forgotten Sons. But, so we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to pay some bills that we don't have, but we're going to make a couple quick announcements, and we are going to have our match announcement when we come back.
So, we were just talking about Money in the Bank, and we need to remember where Money in the Bank came from. Its first appearance being on WrestleMania, and that's why this week's match review is going to be one of the greatest matches to take place at a WrestleMania, in my opinion. Maybe
Bret Hart versus Steve Austin.
No.
Oh.
He had me there for a minute with Bret Hart, but then he lost me with Steve Austin.
Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper.
Close but no cigar.
Oh.
That one.
You gotta go with the one he loses.
Greatest match of all time, in my opinion.
Whoa! Okay, we're gonna have a lot of fun talking about this one.
In my opinion.
I've kind of been... I don't even think it's the best match in WrestleMania history. It was definitely the best match on that card, but...
I think it's the greatest match of all time. Because for two people who don't like working with each other...
And for those of you out there that don't know what we meant by that one, we will specify right now.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 12, the Iron Man match for the WWF Championship.
That went sudden death.
Bret the Hitman Hart versus the Heartbreak Kid. Shawn Michaels. Bret Hart winning the title against Big Daddy Cool that past November at Survivor Series, I think.
And the reason this match was so great for me personally, like, first of all, I didn't even get to watch this. This is something like 8 or 9 years into my wrestling tenure after falling in love with wrestling. I found this match and watched back.
I was going to say...
23-year-old young kid here.
Yeah, so, I was going to say this match was BC.
Yeah, a little bit before I was born, and that's why it's like it's so hard for people to listen to me be like, oh, that's the one. But hear me out. These two do not like working with each other one bit, but in my opinion, it's the greatest match they've ever put together.
I don't think their beef had really started.
They've always had
this
tensions
point.
Because Bret was very... I'm reading Bret's book right now, and I've already read both of Shawn's books. Bret was very... He never was really into wrestling. He didn't like wrestling growing up.
Yeah.
But since it was a legacy to him, he had to defend it every step of the way. So when you see someone like Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels with their partying and their antics and not taking anything seriously, kind of rubs you the wrong way. So there's always been a little bit of tension between the two of them.
Okay, fair enough.
So
they've always been able to put on good matches.
Yeah, they've always put on good matches, but this is one of my favorite matches. It went the 60-minute time, the allotted 60 minutes, and went to a sudden death.
And I loved Piper coming out and like, no, I said there'd be a winner.
Yeah, there needs to be a winner, especially after how great of a match that was. Lots of back and forth, lots of real wrestling.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it, is it is wrestling at its purest form.
There was definitely more grappling in that match than I thought I'd see.
Rest holds.
Yeah, and like it was obviously we knew we were gonna see Bret Hart be a technical master. I even at that age, I saw the match live. Not in Anaheim, but I watched it on pay-per-view live. I was at my buddy's house who also went on to become a worker. Not that I'm a worker, but
We're all in the business some way currently.
But like I knew Shawn Michaels was talented. I didn't think he'd be able to hang with Bret Hart in that regard, and he hung.
And I agree. Going into it, I didn't even think that they would go that Shawn would be able to keep up with Bret that length of time. Like maybe 5, 10, 15-minute match, Shawn can do it. But when you start getting to that 30, 60-minute, I was like, okay, is Shawn going to be able to keep up?
Right, and I was so convinced by the promos that Bret was cutting leading into it, calling him a tennis ball. He just keeps bouncing back at you. He's a tennis ball. But, eventually a tennis ball stops bouncing. Like, I bought into that. Like, even though I had never seen Bret Hart go 60 minutes.
I never got the hype up to it. I never got that aspect of it because...
Oh, man.
I just heard about the match and someone was like, you need to watch this match.
You should go on YouTube.
Not the 8 weeks leading up to it.
Yeah, you need to go on YouTube and watch those promos. Like, it's probably the best stuff Todd Pettengill has ever been a part of. But they were worked shoots, obviously, but the build-up for that match was so good. For 12-year-old doesn't know spit about anything, Bret Hart is God, wrestling fan, Joe, growing up. First of all, this match ripped my heart out because I thought Bret Hart was going to win 3-1. I was calling it. I thought it was going to...
See, and that's what I mean. Like, in that 60-minute time window,
yeah,
Shawn could have easily fallen back
like,
that far.
I thought Shawn would get the first fall, and then that would be like Bret's like, oh, okay. And so to 12, it ripped my heart out when Shawn Michaels won. Like, I was right there with Bret's son saying things that you can't say in 2020 and you shouldn't have said in 1996 either. But...
Still saying them.
Yeah, but people are still saying them. I'm not saying them as much. I'm not going to say it right here. I was I was depressed. Like, that match was on a Sunday. I was depressed until, like, Wednesday.
I'm also glad I picked this match because I remember watching one of these shows a few weeks back bringing up the Shawn Michaels topic with Bobby Doe.
But here's my, I also thought as a kid that the match was too slow.
It was a very slow match, and that's what I'm saying. They looked at it as they were like, okay, I've got 60 minutes to put this man away.
Yeah.
Not, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do what I can, and I'm going to score that first fall right away. It was, if I stop him from scoring his first fall, all I need is that one fall to get it. So I'm going to work the whole 60 minutes if I need to, and I'm going to go in anticipating that needing to be the case. And that's how Bret Hart approached it.
Right.
And that's why, like, seeing Shawn Michaels come out on top, everyone was, like, jaw-dropped about it. You see it all in the fans all across their faces.
That's still one of the dopest moonsaults ever.
Iconic.
Tony Kimmel eating that chin music. Where Bret Hart's sitting in his lap and then just
out of there.
Out of there. And apparently Kimmel had no idea that was coming.
I've been on the receiving end of one or two moves that I didn't know was coming, but sometimes you just gotta go with it if it happens.
Yeah, and like apparently he was like shoot knocked out there too, but
that sucks.
I thought the match was kind of slow. To this day, I still hate the result, but looking back on it and looking at the 1995 Shawn Michaels had, looking at Piper coming out and saying there must be a winner, the writing was on the wall the entire time. I've heard that Shawn and Bret knew that it was only going to be one fall and they just hadn't said it to anyone else. As I grew older, I definitely appreciate the match for what it is. Like I said, though, I don't even think it's the best match in WrestleMania history. I think that goes...
I'll leave my stance as simply put, I think it's one of the greatest matches of all time, and Shawn Michaels is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
And Shawn Michaels is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, no doubt. I still think Bret and Austin had a better match. And
I'm just not a fan of their dynamic in ring.
Okay.
I'm just not a fan of it. Their styles are similar but different in a lot of ways. And even their characters are similar but different.
Right.
Stone Cold Steve Austin's
was a brawler.
Very Texas country, crude, for lack of a better term, where Bret Hart is very concise about things, but they both have a moral code and a moral compass, and I won't let you pull the wool over my eyes without eating a right hook kind of mentality.
Right.
You know? So it's perfect example. Screw job, Bret. Steve Austin constantly flipping off Vince McMahon. Yeah. Like, you don't need to really dive too much deeper into that.
Right.
So, it's arguably Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Steve Austin, some of the greatest world champions of all time, right? Yeah. Well, I think it's time we start talking about some that haven't been world champions.
Oh, we're going right to the top 5. Okay.
I think that's important because, and I think it's important we distinguish what we mean by world champion too. What world titles count under this and what don't.
Okay, so right out the gate, are we going to count the AWA championship?
Case by case.
Case by case. Because, okay, so like obviously you'll never say Nick Bockwinkel wasn't a world champion, but would you call Rick Martel a world champion? No. Okay. So the reason I'm asking...
Would you call Matt Hardy a world champion?
I consider...
ECW championship post-2009 under the WWE regime.
Oh, see, I thought we were talking about when he had the Impact.
See, no, I'm not even counting. I'm looking under WWE. That's what I'm saying. What world titles are we counting? Which are we not?
So then I guess that would mean we're not going to count the ECW championship.
I feel like if it was ECW, like Paul Heyman's ECW,
we'll count that. Okay.
But if it's under the WWE regime, when Mark Henry came out with the black belt, like
that
kind of stuff, like Matt Hardy's ECW
WWE
world title
ECW,
reign,
we won't count.
Scrapped. Ezekiel Jackson's world title reign in ECW, scrapped.
Bobby Lashley
scrapped.
I think we got to count Impact.
I'll count Impact because they have a 20-year, 10-year now. I'll give Impact.
I don't think we can count Ring of Honor. Well, Ring of Honor isn't even going to enter this conversation because, at least not with my 5.
So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really affect our 5s too much. But that's why I was trying to see clarification because, okay, if we weren't counting ECW and Impact, then yes, okay, I can consider Matt Hardy one of the greatest of all time who's never won a world title. You know, you can make that argument with him.
So, like, maybe we just keep this a big 3, even though I really feel like I'm doing a disservice to the AWA. I'm going to say the AWA doesn't count only because there are so many people out there on the internet that think the AWA doesn't count.
There also comes a point where we start including so many world titles that everyone has held a belt.
Yeah.
You know, and you're seriously picking through some of the lower talent. And are you really looking at the best non-world champion
Right,
talent
and honestly, I'm going to have to throw the AWA out because when I thought of my list, one of the names that came up on there had that AWA title. It was one of the greatest wrestling matches ever. I don't know if you've seen it. You should probably watch it.
Is it on the network?
It is on the network.
Because I have the network. I've watched I'm pretty well versed for my age.
Yeah.
I've watched every episode of Raw from the debut episode to WrestleMania XIX.
Yeah, okay, it's up to 19, damn.
And then I started watching wrestling live myself in 2006.
Okay. But, so, I can't remember what show it's on, but I know it's on there.
We'll do some looking after the show.
Which, obviously, you guys already know who I'm talking about here. If I'm talking about AWA this extensively, talking about Curt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. I think the AWA title is a world championship, but when I was thinking about this, Hennig came to my mind because there are so many people that say Curt Hennig and don't count the AWA that it would almost be a crime to not include him on this list.
So we can put him on the list with an asterisk.
We totally could.
For the AWA title.
We totally could do that, yeah.
And the only reason I say that is because I don't want to discredit what he did with that.
I definitely don't want to discredit it. I don't want to discredit what guys like Bockwinkel,
the legacy of that title is.
What Bockwinkel did with it, what Vern Gagne did with it. There are some definite.
Would you consider Dusty a world champion?
Rhodes?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, NWA world champion 3 times over. Anyone that was a world champion for Crockett
So we
counts.
are counting NWA. So Cody counts as a world champion.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I was gonna argue Cody, in my opinion, is one of the best modern wrestlers who's never held a major world title. But he held the NWA title. But that was just for like. That was the capping on NWA.
That was the capping on some nostalgia.
Yeah.
It definitely made the 10 pounds of gold videos
nice.
Even more oomph, which Dave Lagana did a great job with those to begin with. But so yeah, it was definitely Curt Hennig, Owen Hart.
Oh, without a doubt, Owen Hart, especially after, what was it, WrestleMania 10 against Brett?
Yeah, Owen
with
Hart.
That victory rule?
That whole 1994 run, like, he could have won that steel
Great
cage match. There was a phantom finish or a dusty finish involving Brett and Owen at a house show or something where Owen pinned him. He walked around with the title for a bit, and then they restarted the match, and Brett won.
Which, I don't care. I want to beat Brett on the grandest stage of them all. Right. WrestleMania 10.
My number 3, how this man didn't, like, especially when the WCW title was being passed around like a hot potato, how Scott Hall went through Minnesota without winning a world title, went through WWE without winning a world title,
WCW.
Went through WCW without winning a world title.
For a while?
He went through Impact. He went through Impact without winning either the Impact Championship or the NWA. Like, how? Like, you look at this dude. This dude is 6'8", one of the bigger. Not necessarily big men in wrestling, but a big guy. A big star, like, definitely one of the biggest draws.
Especially after what he did with the Intercontinental title against him and Shawn. Like, he clearly showed he could be a main event guy.
Yeah, and maybe it was just there were too many people up at the top.
At that caliber.
And
that's why the Intercontinental title was there.
Right, but
even that picture was getting kind of... I don't know if I want to call it crowded or watered down at that point, because it was Scott Hall, Shawn Michaels, Mr. Perfect,
Jeff Jarrett,
and like maybe 2 other people that were in constant rotation with that strap for a while.
Right, Hunter Hearst Helmsley towards the tail end there.
Once he started gaining his favor back.
And that was more or less once Scott Hall left the company. And then number 4 for me was Jake the Snake Roberts.
Which, after working with him in person, meeting him in person was a blessing and honor.
And not necessarily a guy that needed a championship to legitimize him, which, as we clearly know, he didn't need it because he never had any.
Who needs a championship when I have a 12-foot python?
Right, but like I see a run with Jake as a top heel as being like one of the biggest missed opportunities ever.
I agree with that. I can honestly agree with that, because Jake as a top heel, it wasn't that he can garner heat. Mm-hmm. He can garner hate.
Yeah.
It's one thing to get heat. It's another thing to breed genuine contempt in the fans.
Right. Like, Jake Roberts genuinely scared me as a child, and it had nothing to do with the snake. It's just like that dude would talk, and the way he'd look at the camera, and there was something very unsettling about Jake that, like, even now when I think about it, having met Jake and worked with him several times now, I just have to kind of remind myself, like, nah, he's not. Like, he's definitely... Not that he's not that dude. He's definitely able to tap into that part of himself and make you feel a little scuzzy and like you need to take a shower. But he's also not that dude.
And for those of you who haven't seen what he's doing in Dynamite currently over in the AEW regime, still doesn't need a title. Doesn't even need to wrestle to legitimize himself or to make himself seem credible or as a threat. Man. You give him a microphone and 10 minutes of your time, and you'll be questioning whether or not this man's genuinely going to hurt you.
Those promos are kind of reminding me of when he was trying to show Ultimate Warrior the dark side.
My favorite touch was the first promo he cut, and it was here in Denver when he confronted Cody, and he was like, "I was always told, don't turn your back on a man you respect or you're afraid of," and then turns his back and throws the microphone to Cody and climbs out of the ring.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember.
Money, dude.
It means he's neither afraid nor respects him. It's great.
Definitely top 5 of all time. With or without the world title.
I have an honorable mention before I get to the one that we argued over. DiBiase gets my honorable mention, even though and
DiBiase was the guy that I was willing to use in my argument, because DiBiase was like, I don't need a title because I'd make the title, and to prove that, I made a title.
But the only reason DiBiase made that title is because they stripped him of the run that he was supposed to have.
He bought it.
He defended, and he defended that title. Even after he bought it, he was supposed to win the tournament at WrestleMania 4, but because Honky Tonk and Macho Man didn't get along, all of a sudden Macho Man gets the freaking world title. And, oh, hey, Ted, you get this $1 million championship.
DiBiase was going to be my argument. Now I got to come up with something.
Well, see...
Off the cuff.
See, and I came up with DiBiase off the cuff, too, because it was like, oh, man, how can I...
That's what's really cool about, like, doing a show like this with people who have wrestling minds.
But I really want to hear your argument against my number 5. My number 5... Ravishing Rick Rude. Now, people are going, oh, but he had the big gold belt. That was when it was a WCW International title.
It wasn't a world title.
It wasn't the world title. He lost when they were merging it with the WCW Championship. He lost the match to Sting, which means Sting was the world champion, not Rick Rude. Rick Rude was in a world title match. He fought for several world championships, yes. Never won it. He could have won it against
British
Warrior.
Bulldog.
See, I don't know if the guy could carry a company.
It's regardless if he can carry the strap or not. We're talking greatest wrestlers who've never held the strap.
See, oh, okay, British. So you're totally missing. Okay, and I'm
because
he belongs. If we're taking it as that criteria, yes.
I don't believe that the British Bulldog character could hold a company up as a world champion. But the man behind the character, the wrestler behind the character, the athlete, has every bit of what it takes to be a world champion, to be a main eventer, to be that guy.
I don't know if he had the mic skills. Think of a memorable British Bulldog promo. You can't.
Okay, you got me there. But at the same time...
The only promo I can remember...
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar gave great interviews.
His promos are so terrible they gave him Paul Heyman.
No, his interviews for UFC were great. His interviews...
That's different. That's UFC. You can
his interviews when he was first coming up in 2002 through 2004 were great. They give him Paul Heyman to elevate him.
As the guy, right? The guy who's been carrying WWE for the better part of the past 10 years.
Wow, it has been that long since he came
right?
back. Wow.
The guy who's been carrying WWE for the better part of the past 10 years.
For about 8 years now, yeah.
Name one memorable promo.
Memorable
that you could quote. Like Hard Times. Or The Cream Rising to the Top.
I can't quote anything off the top of my head, but I remember the build-up, like, for a Cena match where...
Yokozuna. He was a world champion. One memorable promo.
All he had to say was Bonsai. Jim Cornette was there to talk for him.
That's what I'm saying. Regardless if Bulldog could cut a promo or not. And Ted DiBiase, either one of those, in my opinion, is my argument to your Rick Rude.
Okay.
And there's a bit of bias going into it. I was never a fan of Rick Rude.
And I can take the Ted DiBiase argument. And, I'm a Hart Foundation fan for life. Like, I like the Bulldog.
You just don't think he's got it?
He deserves to be a Hall of Famer. As a heel, you know what? Maybe.
That would be fun. I didn't even think about it.
If he'd beaten Diesel, I'd have been okay with that.
I didn't think about a heel run. I was looking at him as purely face.
And that's how I was thinking of it too.
When I start thinking about it like that, then yes, the promo argument does make sense because he is a face.
Yeah, you couldn't have him do it as a baby.
You can't have him do a heel run with no promos. You can't.
That's why, but that's how you have
to get the heat.
You have Jim Cornette do it for you.
Jim Cornette and Bulldog.
Because he was part of Camp Cornette most of the time anyway.
No, you know who I would put? You know who I would put with Bulldog? If I was dream booking Bulldog as my guy, right? Mm-hmm. Bobby the Brain.
Okay.
Bobby the Brain in his corner. Bobby the Brain and British Bulldog. Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman.
Okay.
That kind of dynamic. Bulldog doesn't say anything. He handles his stuff in the ring. He does his technical work. He does all that. He proves himself there. Paul Heyman, just like Bobby the Brain Heenan would do, just like same thing. I think it would work.
Yeah, it would. Oh, no, it totally would.
Because even in my 2K games, like when I play WWE and stuff like that, which, be sure to check out the Fire
Yes,
Pro
we've got a bonus video coming up. That is fire.
Fire. Absolutely. Be sure to check it out.
Yes.
But even in my wrestling games, I pair my characters up with Bobby the Brain. By far, one of my favorite on-air personas.
Bobby Brain Heenan is on my Mount Rushmore. We were mentioning Kev Block on the bonus video. He friggin' was able to sniff out my Bobby Brain friggin' references and influences pretty quick. He's definitely someone that I try to emulate
Fuck yeah.
on commentary and when I've been wrestling, or not wrestling, when I've been managing, he's a guy I try to emulate promo-wise. And
see, and that's something I've been piquing my interest, turning my head towards, is potentially trying to move into a managerial role in the wrestling industry or a commentary role or something different from Zebra Stripes, somewhere where I can have a little more personality and see what I can do.
Are you a newsman? Are you a newsman like me, son? Unique New York. I have a broadcasting degree. I went to college! College!
Easy there, Ron.
I'm sorry.
Alright, I think we should just call it. We're getting hysterical here.
Alright, so stick around. We've got 2 great interviews coming up. We've got Broo coming up before I mispronounce the name and have him come after me.
I was gonna willingly mispronounce his name on purpose to give him something to come after.
Oh no,
because I love being able to, like, next show,
watch the interview,
get the interactions and see people's reactions to things that I say, because who am I?
We've got the interview with Broo coming up. We've got an interview that I did with Manny Lemons.
Fresh.
It is
fresh, like fresh off the presses today. Fresh.
Oh, see, I thought you were going with fresh. Both. Because I thought I saw what you did there. I gotta stop questioning my eyes sometimes. We've got a great interview with Manny Lemons of DCW. Shout out to both those guys and thank you for the interviews. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. Click subscribe.
Hit
all
up
that
the
fun
hotline.
Stuff. Hit up the hotline 303-351-2152.
We want to know what you guys want to talk about.
Yes.
Bring us your topics and watch us slit each other's throats over them.
303-351-2152. Give us your hate mail, your drunken rants. Hit on Bobby. Tell me I'm ugly.
Pretty sure he's single.
He
Bobby's
might be
single, I think.
He's single and then he's not and then he's...
I don't know. If you're interested in someone who looks like a felon... I wouldn't say anything. He's a great guy.
If you
he's
want,
a good friend of mine. I wouldn't say any of this behind his back. I'll say it all to his face.
He can probably hear it.
I hope he can.
Or he will hear it. He's saving babies. I don't know why we're looking upstairs. He's saving babies right now.
Because that's where all the angels go.
Yes, true.
Just like Bobby Doe.
Just like Bobby Doe is an angel. If you want to hit on a gentleman who looks like the living embodiment of the reason Megan's Law exists,
actually,
303-351-2152.
Living embodiment of the arch enemy of Sonic.
I don't look like Dr. Robotnik. I'm not that fat. And I shaved my mustache, so my mustache doesn't go out to here anymore.
But yeah, let us know what you guys want to talk about.
I look like a cop. I look like a mall cop.
I can see that. You look like if you were Hispanic.
If I were to grab that Denver police hat I have.
I feel like you could rock the look you have if
you were
Hispanic.
Once again, shout outs to everyone. This is already running a little long.
Shout out to Bubba.
Shout out to Bubba.
Hey, bonus video. Check it out.
Bonus video. Check it out. Good night. It is the Pro Wrestling Power half-hour podcast. I am JV Vernola. Supposed to have Bobby Doe with me, but, saving babies from burning buildings definitely takes priority over the wrestling podcast. But you, the viewers, are in luck because with me today, you can see him on the screen already. You do not have to see my ugly face. Unlike him, it is Brewmock. How you doing, man?
I'm a good 6 out of 10. Face wise, I think. You know, like,
He's doing 6 out of 10.
who hired Bobby to save anything?
I don't know who hired Bobby Doe to save anything. He's hasn't been fired yet, so he must be doing pretty well saving babies from burning buildings like he is Jose Canseco as the joke goes. But
Poor man. Good
so
references. Okay, I'm gonna send an investigation team from cheaters to follow him around. They do a pretty good job.
yes, yes. Send Joey Greco on him. Man, Joey Greco hasn't been on that show in forever. Anyway, so how you holding up through this worldwide hangover? That is starting to slow down a little bit. It's starting to come to a bit of an end, but we're probably not going to get to work with any kind of big crowd anytime soon. So, how you coping with that?
First, it was fine. The not wrestling part really sucks. Especially I just got back, so that part was I was like, well, I just got back, and now I have to do this again. It's like crack or something.
Right, right. And that was last week. I was talking to Damon Ace, who was going through rehab right around this time. You were just wrapping yours up and coming back, so it definitely getting cut off at the knees as far as momentum and everything goes. But I want to talk just a little bit more about the injury because this is something that most people don't normally go through a dislocated shoulder, or in Damon's case, a knee injury or something like that. You know, the worst, they may have broken something as a kid or they may break a finger as an adult or something, but it's not something that your average Joe goes through where they have to start concentrating about rehab and just kind of the mindset that comes with being injured or recovering from an injury. Is there any insight you can give on that?
It was dislocated shoulder that popped in during the match, but it was actually a tear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I was
This,
gone for so long.
yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, obviously, I wasn't trying to shortchange it
You're
by calling it a
downplaying it.
dislocation. I wasn't
How
trying
dare
to. I
you?
apologize. Please, please. I know you want to kill me every time we're in the ring together, but please show mercy on me. Um.
This one time.
Okay. Well,
Uh,
thank you. Uh.
it's let's see. It was just a freak accident. It's because I played lineman for so long. You know, the doctor was like, "This is very common for anybody of football who does that." I was like, "Oh." So he was like, "Eventually, this one's gonna go out." So
Right.
it could happen whenever. Who knows?
Well,
I'll just
fingers crossed. It's a far ways away, and you get to put some time in. Um. What are some of your plans for when we're able to come back? What are some things you plan on doing to try to set yourself ahead of the competition and ahead of everyone else around you?
um, trying a different me. You know, be meaner, be more out there. Stop trying to be so colorful and stuff. You know, be more like me. Learning bigger, badder moves. I had a pretty good move set right before this quarantine hit, so I hope I remember it.
Hope you remember it. That was
I,
a good one.
I forget a lot of things. I forget my birthday most years.
I forget my birthday too a lot of times.
Oh, thank goodness it's not just me.
Yeah, no, it's. I think it's something that either comes with age or just having getting hit in the head a few too many times. Um, so you mentioned playing football in I'm guessing high school and school coming up. What were some other athletic pursuits you had? What was it that made you decide to pursue professional wrestling?
The football, got football for over 10 years. There's track and field. I should have done mat wrestling in high school. I regret that. Boxing, all that kind of fighting sports. But it was one day working overnight at a said grocery store where I just didn't know what to do next with anything. And I was listening to this podcast with actually Rockstar Spud, and he was just saying how he was a bank teller and how he was small. No one thought he could do it, but he just went for it. I can't remember the specifics, but it like lit a fire under me. So that night I didn't go to sleep. I went looking for wrestling schools, and I found Extreme Gym.
Very cool, very cool.
I
So
believe actually today, Facebook told me I have 4 years being friends with that little dude Logan Austin. So I think I've been in it 4 years.
oh well, happy anniversary. It's got to be right around that time.
I hope he
Um,
gives me flowers.
I hope so too. If he doesn't, let me know. We'll take care of this. Um, so you mentioned Rockstar Spud or listening to the podcast with Rockstar Spud. I'm guessing style wise, actually, I know style wise. I've seen you wrestle. I know that um, Rockstar Spud isn't necessarily a style you emulate, though you are definitely trying to emulate his tenacity and attitude. Who are some wrestlers that you've watched either growing up or in the 4 years that you've been in wrestling, some guys that you've watched that you're like, yeah, that's the guy I want to emulate, or ooh, I like that move. I really want to try to maybe take that and make it my own. Or what are some influences, basically? Long question short.
Well, I haven't been watching wrestling very long. The dude who got me into it, I always get shit for this. Ryback. Love,
Okay.
yeah. Besides him, let's see. I love watching Pete Dunne stuff, like the British style. Is I just love the way it flows.
Hmm.
I've watched some Walter, Keith Lee. He's something that borrowed the move, and Ivar, I believe from the Viking
Yes, yes.
Raiders, the big guy.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Okay, yeah,
Ivar.
Ivar. Yeah, I've watched plenty of his stuff. So I just going through videos, different wrestlers of different styles, see what I could pick up. And
Very cool.
I do watch the smaller guys. I'm not. No, I'm not gonna capable of doing that without breaking something. I think.
Hey, you never know until you try. Why do we fall, Bruce? Sorry to quote Batman there, but
Oh.
the so you mentioned Keith Lee, Walter, a lot of bigger guys, Smash Mouth guys, um, and you were talking about Pete Dunne. Who is what is something about you as a person or as a wrestler that when someone finds it out about you, they're genuinely shocked or surprised?
What do you mean? When they
Just
find something now,
maybe
long walks on the beach, like my
yes,
job
yeah,
at
no,
breakfast.
no,
Ah, yes. I
uh
love. I can't run on the beach. I don't have a very good running stamina.
yeah, it is. Um,
Uh, let's see. Outside of wrestling, I'm actually like teacher assistant. Easy to say.
okay.
Yeah. So that's why I knew how to get you going on this Zoom.
Yeah, and that was definitely something that I was more kind of leaning towards or something. Everybody sees you as this big, brutish kind of guy, and then meanwhile you're a teacher's assistant working with kids and stuff. And
Got Manual High School. That's where I'm working at currently.
very cool.
With the SPED program. Those the kids know that I do wrestling. They always ask me questions and stuff. I try to get them helping with like making posters with me and stuff to like show on the program.
Very cool.
Um,
So, oh, I didn't mean to cut you off.
not, this is like strike two, man.
I know. It's just never doing this again. No, I'm joking. Um, Real quick, if there's something that you want the people to know about you, where they can find you on social media, uh, anything along those lines, this is your time. Floor is yours, my man.
Oh, that's great. On the spotlight. Okay. I have merch coming out, so keep an eye on that on Brewmock, not Broke Mac, not Brew Make, not any of that. BROOMAK on Facebook, BMF underscore Brewmock on Instagram. I believe that's the same thing for Twitter. I got to get that going. Keep an eye on that all the time. Always looking for followers. And yeah, find me on your local Pornhub. I might be on there. Who knows?
Yeah, hey, I mean those community uploads, you never know, man.
Always got to make sure. Got to get my money out of it.
And before I forget, this question just entered my mind because I don't write anything in front of me because I'm not as professional as Bobby thinks. Um,
He's a professional baby saver.
he is. He's a professional baby saver. Who are some wrestlers in Colorado that are on your bucket list, so to speak? Who are some guys that you definitely want to get a piece of in the ring?
Damon Ace, all these new wrestlers that I train with. So Damon Ace, Balaam Links, from Rocky Mountain Pro, I had one practice match with him. Atabe, I believe I said his name right. I want another one with him. That was a fun match.
Tiba, I believe, right?
Oh, Tiba.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
bad. I should go to Brewmock.
Cool.
Bromac. There's everyone, whoever wants them. Primos, I want XJ. That's his name. And
Yeah, yeah.
especially Johnny Crash. I've always wanted that one.
Okay, that'd be a good one.
That's a big boy. I dreamed about it sometimes.
That is a slim, trim 205 pounds. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
That's a small boy that I dream about sometimes.
Shout out to Johnny Crash. So again, as you said, BMF underscore Brewmock.
God dang it, man.
That was on purpose. I caught you. BMF underscore Brewmock on Instagram and Twitter. It is the Pro Wrestling Power Half Hour podcast. I am JV Vernola. You see the man on the screen right now. He is known the world over, internationally renowned, locally respected. This is Manny Lemons. Manny, how you doing right now?
Doing good, Joe. How about yourself, my brother?
I'm doing pretty well. I can't complain. It sounds like you guys are getting to be a little busier in Salt Lake than we're getting to be in Denver right now. You guys have been training about a week or so now, right?
Yeah, we just barely got the dojo open this week, so it's been a blessing because it's about damn time. I'm getting sick of sitting at my house and not doing a damn thing, you know.
Yeah. But so for some people that may not know, you go with the Manny Lemons gimmick, and for anyone that does know, there's a pretty interesting story, at least from what I've heard, behind the gimmick. Why don't you explain a little bit about how Manny Fresh became Manny Lemons.
So yeah, obviously my first gimmick I was Manny Fresh. The dream, the desire, the legacy. Nothing much to it, but just the vanilla flavor ice cream. It wasn't until I actually went to my first Ring of Honor tryout camp where I inherited the name Manny Lemons. Basically, what it was, Kevin Kelly and Broo Bob Evans for Ring of Honor. When I did my first camp, they knew me as Manny, but they never really remembered my last name. So, but when at the time I was wearing rocking the green and yellow trunks, green and yellow T-shirt as Manny Fresh.
Gotcha.
So when they said Manny Lemons because of the bright ash yellow shirt, that's how they remember me. So it was kind of a little gimmick nickname, and throughout the whole camp they kept calling me Manny Lemons, Manny Lemons, Manny Lemons. And it wasn't until actually the end of the camp where they were like, why don't you run with something like that? Why don't you run with Manny Lemons? And I was kind of like, oh, no, it's kind of dumb. I don't want to be a mockery of a fruit,
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, it's pro wrestling. It's taking it, and owning it. It wasn't until I actually seen Richard. I'm gonna butcher his last name. Franzrek is actually who created the Manny Lemons the smiling face, from the lemon head guy, and he created this cool, unique character, Manny Lemons, through graphic design. And then the minute I seen it, I was like, crap, I'm gonna run with this. And I did my first show, and I got over, so it was just game over from there. And I just said, you know what, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go all in with it,
And it's definitely gotten over everywhere I've seen you with the Manny Lemons gimmick. So it's definitely been a kind of a lightning in a bottle situation. You alluded to doing some work with Ring of Honor. You were also in Future of Honor. What was that experience like?
Yeah, so and then that's just throughout the years of doing it. I mean, at first I was just trying to be more comedy with it, and I think that kind of, I don't know, I think that kind of killed it because I mean, I think I gained more confidence, and that's really what got it over to this day. Is that I'm more confident being Manny Lemons because it's just it's really who I am, just in a wrestling form, if that makes sense,
Total sense.
If you watched my first Ring of Honor match, that was actually when I first debuted. It was actually when I jobbed on Ring of Honor TV against Dijak. You see him on NXT right now. But the fans there weren't cheering Dijak, man. They were cheering Lemons, and right there I was like, all right, I'm running full speed with this, And, just you watch each of the matches I've had with Ring of Honor, through Future of Honor, you just see their confidence building through. I've had the opportunity to really build my own character and my own confidence with it,
All right. Yeah, definitely. So the main reason I was trying to get this interview in, and full disclosure for anyone watching that isn't aware of what's going on, I am the ring announcer for Devotion Championship Wrestling, but I wanted to bring you on to talk a little bit or a lot about DCW, how you got it started and why you got it started, and your plans and goals with the company.
Yeah, man. I mean, Devotion really started with the fact that when I left Utah Wrestling, I didn't leave bitter, but I left it just to go find my own line and go do my own thing. I wasn't really happy with what the direction I was going and whatnot. So coming back, I had an opportunity, with a group of guys to come back and do a show, and it was when Devotion started, it was going to be kind of a one and done show. But when we ended up actually doing it kind of took off to another level of, Utah Wrestling needed a community. It has a community. It just needed to be served in the right fashion. And, be able to bring stars, not just local stars here in Utah, but stars from, Colorado, Arizona, FSW, Vegas, After running our first show, Festivus Fights, in December 2018, it was, that's when I knew, all right, this can't just be a one and done show. It's got to go. You got to go full in, at this point, So we ended up running a second show, which was Aftermath in January. That's when we had Sefa Fatu out there. You know him, Joe, Rikishi's boy.
Yeah, yeah.
But we ended up actually drawing over 350 people that show, and you just realized of how big and how much interest it created, because a lot of people, they've never seen a flavor of wrestling like this, where I like to focus, obviously me, Manny Lemons, a lot of my guys are very character based. So
right.
it's not just going out there and just going through the motions, doing the moves. It's going out there and telling a story and projecting that story to a new audience that would have never seen it before.
Yeah.
So after doing that first show, I got a lot of people that were actually inquiring about starting to train, and like, hey, do you guys offer a school? And I had no desire in hell to run a professional wrestling school, man. It was never in my book. I just was totally fine with doing shows, wrestling in front of my family and friends, and that was going to be the story. But after the inquiry, a lot of people, asked me about doing a school. It wasn't until actually Rekka, who's my wife, she said, if you're going to do this, you're going to train me. So it legitimately, it's sad to say, but we probably wouldn't have a wrestling school if it wasn't for Rekka saying those words and, getting her fully trained and to do the sport. She traveled with me for 4+ years on the road, and, she learned a lot and was able to see what was going on, in the wrestling business on that side of, on the back side of things. So it kind of absorbed with her with it,
Yeah.
and just the rest kind of history, man. It was just, I think the community of Utah needed to change, and I think devotion was, brought to that change. I tell every single person in the world, man, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all out. And the fact that I have an opportunity and a platform to actually do it, we're going to make devotion. At this point now, I want to make devotion one of the biggest wrestling companies in the entire world. And that's my goal.
Right. And one of the things you've done towards reaching that goal that also helps with the emphasis on characters you were alluding to earlier. The Twitterverse is probably a little aware of this as well. You've brought on Vince Russo to help you with the creative on the show. What has it been like working with Vince? And obviously, you guys were on in Jim Cornette's crosshairs a couple weeks ago. What has that whole whirlwind, if for lack of a better term, been like?
Man, Vince is a treasure, man. He's one of the most genuine human beings I've ever met. And I've worked with a lot of them, and it's not to my own horn or anything, but I've worked with a lot of the biggest names in wrestling in, some shape or form, some of the biggest companies as well. And just when I worked with Vince in Denver, Colorado at Rocky Mountain Pro, there was just something about him that, all these people have so much hatred towards him, and I just couldn't understand why. Because in the last 5 months of bringing Vince on, not only has he helped me as a promoter, but he's helped me as a character develop. Some of the promos that we've produced on TV have been some of the best promos that got the real life Manny Lemons out and got Manny Smith. It's really who I am at this point.
Right.
And it's just his creative mind. It's just been phenomenal. I if you watch our product from when we started debuting TV, because he has full creative control right now, mind you. He's been writing since his arrival here. If you watch it from I'd say 6 months ago till now, you could just see the drastic change in the product. And every episode flows together. He's a genius, man. I can't really just explain how much and how grateful I am to have him here and to be able for him to actually help me, not only as a promoter, not only as a wrestler, but a promoter as well. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, man. I'm just the guy who has more experience than anyone here that's just doing the job to get it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely. And that's one of the blessings too, is now, it's like, well, Manny owns his own company. Manny books the shows. It's like, no, now it's not. He's been booking for us and writing for us for over 5 months. So now it's all in Vince Russo's hands. You know what I mean? So everything that's been happening, it's not. I don't have a say over it, and I love that because I can't get. I deal with the BS of people. Oh, you're champion because you own the company. You're this and that. It's like, no, man, I'm not that. Vince Russo took over 5 months ago, and I'm still the champion. That's obviously a reason for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I love about it. It's like I don't sit here and say, hey, Russo, here's your payday. You need to make me champion. I say, here, Russo, here's your payday. Make my company the best company it could possibly be.
Definitely. And that is unfortunately something that isn't all that common on the indie scene. You and I could probably name a dozen promoters between us that we've seen put themselves over as a company champion. I'm not gonna go
Yeah, man. I mean, you can't sit there. I mean, it happens, and I get it. I think the difference with a lot of it with me though is I have the experience backing me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not just some average Joe who was gone out here, bought a wrestling ring, and started running a company. I've worked for Ring of Honor. I've worked for Impact. You know, I've done television for the last 5 years. You know what I mean? So it's
Definitely.
not. I got the experience following, and I think that's a lot of people realize that. But there's still those haters. There's always going to be the haters, no matter what you do. People are going to hate.
Exactly.
Now look at our YouTube channel and see how many of the Cornette haters are on there. You know, so.
It still counts as views, though.
I don't. That's what I said. I don't give a crap. It's free publicity. You know, I'll
Yeah,
take that any day of the week. And that goes that goes back and piggybacking. You know, Devotion has stepped out of that just being the internet darling company where it's became a globally known company now. You know what I mean? Not only have we locked in television in Utah, but people all around the world are watching us, man, and they're commenting on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's really a humbling experience to see what we've done with this. It's kind of funny because I always tell people, it's like, this could have been the way 5 years ago, but if I got to take the wheels of the wagon and I'm going to push it, we're going to make it happen.
Yeah. One more quick question before I go. This is usually the time where I'll give my guest the chance to let everyone know where to find them on social media, where to find Devotion on TV or across the internet. Anything you want to get in, this is a chance to do it.
Yeah, man, usually I'd plug a show right here, but obviously we don't know when that's going to happen again.
Right.
But I mean, I'm pretty basic with it, man. Obviously, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at Manny Lemons,
Mm-hmm.
You can find Devotion Championship Wrestling on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Twitter, we're at DCW Salt Lake City. Twitch, Spotify. We got the whole social networking down for Devotion as well. Catch us every Sunday morning if you do live in Utah on Utah CW30, channel 30 with the antenna ears, or channel 656 on Comcast. Every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. So.
Very cool. All right. Anything else you'd like to say today?
Oh no, man! Just be on the lookout, man. We'll be rising and grinding, and we'll be back. We'll be back at it soon, man. Once this pandemic's over, DCW is going to be, like I said, making that step towards being one of the biggest wrestling companies in the world. DCW is going to be one of the guys who survived this pandemic and just keeps building up.
All right.
It's just.
You broke up just a little bit towards the end there, but I think we got most of that. Not going to take up any more of your time. I know you've got a training session to run. Manny, thank you so much.
Thanks, brother. We'll talk soon, all right?
Oh, definitely. Talk to you soon, man.